Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the Always Compete Seahawks Podcast. I'm Sam, that is Mike, and today we are continuing our top 10 Seahawks of all time series. We are now in the top three.
Woo, big three.
Top three, the big three. I let y'all in on who the top three players were, not in their order. But today we are dropping number three. It's not Russ. Would have been a little perfect if he was three, but it's not him. Instead, we are going to Mr. Steve Largent, one of the greatest and most underrated wide receivers of all time. Retired with every major receiving record. Held the record for most receptions of all time, most receiving yards of all time, and most touchdowns of all time. Of course,
this dude was Jerry Rice before Jerry Rice was Jerry Rice.
I was going to say, of course, before freaking Jerry Rice had to come in and ruin everything. But
Niners always stealing our stuff.
Yeah, Steve Largent, truly one of the greats. And this dude is very accomplished, played with no gloves, did not wear gloves for a single game of his career, and still went for these ridiculous stats that Mike will let y'all in on in a second. Hall of Famer, was the Seahawks' first Hall of Famer, has his number retired for the Seahawks, and I believe he ran for governor in the state of Oklahoma, where he played in college at Tulsa. So a little Steve Largent fun fact. And something interesting that I just wanted to let y'all in on. I was looking up Steve Largent's name to research about this, and I have a tweet screenshotted right here from Jerry Rice, verified on Twitter. Don't worry, Jerry Rice verified. He said, "You're a GOAT, Steve Largent. Much respect. I'm honored to be on this team. All the credits to my teammates. NFL 100 all-time team. Thank you." Jerry Rice himself called Steve the GOAT. He had to ask Steve's permission to wear 80 when he came to Seattle. That's how you know that you're like when Jerry Rice is like, your number,
right? I mean,
that's how you know. And
talent recognizes talent. Obviously, two of the best to ever do it. Good to see them paying some respects. So you kind of mentioned Steve Largent, and we've had three criteria this whole time: legacy, first Seahawks Hall of Famer.
Legacy is like through the roof. He has like for Seahawks fans, he almost has like that misty thing about him. Like Steve Largent was like that guy at a time.
He's almost like it was before social media, all that. He's like a myth almost. Just watch this guy play. Legacy through the roof. Stats, which I'm going to get into right now, through the roof. 7-time Pro Bowler, only a 1-time All Pro. A little weird, but whatever. Named to the 1980s all-time.
Because he's a white wide receiver, you don't see that much. It's okay. It's okay. It's like,
yeah, that's another thing, dude. Legacy, the best white wide receiver of all time.
I mean,
not.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah,
if you're not counting tight ends.
Even if you are counting tight ends.
I mean, I think Payton has better stats than him, but
anyway. 1988, Walter Payton Man of the Year. He is a man of the people throughout his career, which, like Sam said, retired at the time with all the receiving records. Played 200 games, had 819 catches for 13,089 yards, and 100 on the dot touchdowns. This guy, part of the reason that makes this guy so good is because his quarterback play throughout his career. Jim Zorn was not good. David Craig was like pretty good.
Dave Craig was solid. He at the time, solid. Like in a modern day translation, he'd be like a Kirk Cousins.
Yeah.
He was good, never great, but good. You know,
yeah.
He was
obviously was on the first ever Seahawks team in 1976. Led the league twice in receiving yards in 1979 and 1985. Now he's putting up damn near 1,000 yards a year, and you might be saying, "Oh, that's not that impressive." At that time in the 80s, it absolutely was impressive.
That's ridiculous in the 80s.
That's equivalent to like putting up like 1,500, 1,600 yards in the modern NFL, in the pass-heavy NFL that we live in. So legacy through the roof, stats through the roof. The only thing that hurts Steve, which it doesn't really hurt Steve, it just kind of hurts the whatever. The team didn't win much. Again, this was literally their first year through.
They won a little bit. They won more than Cortez. I will say that they did win more than Cortez.
But they were a baby franchise, right?
I think they made the AFC Championship. The AFC, yes. If you don't know,
the AFC
made the AFC Championship 1 year.
Right. They won. They weren't disgusting.
Yeah, they were good.
They were pretty good. But obviously doesn't have the playoff history of Russell Wilson, all those guys. But
that kind of hurts him.
Yeah, that's whatever. Also, let's just take a moment to say that he's 5'11", 187. He's small as hell, and he absolutely just destroyed everybody. There was a play.
Also, like, slow as hell. Also, like, not hating or anything, but he was like genuinely slow for a receiver. At least he ran like a 4.6 or something.
Yeah,
he got open every time. Like, there would be plays, he runs a 4.6, he'd run a streak and would be like 10 yards, nobody else around him, wide open, because this man would just demolish you with your routes. Like, you like a stutter step thing, and you would not know where to look, and before you know it, you're being burnt by a 5'11", 185-pound white guy
from Oklahoma
who runs a 4.6 and is from Tulsa. But, you know.
The 80s was a wild time, man. My favorite, before we kind of get out of here, my favorite Steve Largent play of all time, and I don't know the exact kind of week or the exact player. Essentially, early in the year, they're playing against the Broncos, and a Broncos player intercepts a pass, and they crack Steve Largent on the return.
Yep.
And
I could give backstory to this.
Later in the season.
Yeah. Mike Harden. Mike Harden was the guy who hit. Later
in the season, I believe the same guy intercepted the ball and was running it back. Steve Largent, again, he's 5'11", 187. Not a big dude, runs a 4.6. He's a white dude. Like, he does not expect this. And he's a wide receiver. Wide receivers really are not known for being very physical. Just absolutely lays the smack on him, forces the fumble, and I believe the Seahawks recovered the fumble. So that's just...
He recovered the fumble.
He recovered the fumble. Oh, my gosh, that's even better. So that's just a kind of a testament to his career. He was 100%. He was tough. He was, not the most physically gifted, but always would give 100%. And it's part of the reason why I love Steve Largent.
Real quick, I'm going to have a couple things to add. Steve Largent, a lifelong Seahawk, except he was drafted by the Oilers, but never played a game for the Oilers. Every game in the NFL he played for the Seahawks. And he has a award for the Seahawks named after him, Steve Largent Award, which, quote, is given to team contributors best exemplifying the spirit, dedication, and integrity of Steve Largent. And KJ Wright won it most recently in 2020. Russell Wilson won it in 2019. Yep. It even has its own Wikipedia page. So, like, it's legit. And
when you have an award named after you, you're probably pretty good at what you did.
Yeah. Mike, can you guess who won the award the most in their career? It's a weird one. Is
it somebody I would know, or is it just like some obscure
You would know him. 2000s.
Steve Hutchinson.
Max Strong.
Wow. The fullback.
He won it 5 times in his career. Russ is second with 3. So, pretty fun award. He's a guy who is kind of has like this mystical aura around him for Seahawks fans, and he is our 3rd best Seahawks player of all time.
Yeah.
If you guys have, anything to add in the comments, go ahead and drop that. We want to talk with you. If you have an opinion, drop it.
Right.
Subscribe, hit the bell, leave a like, and subscribe to the podcast where you get your podcast, so you will not miss out on it. And we'll see y'all next time. Peace out.